In the days after the Great Flood, when the earth was still fresh with the scent of new beginnings, humanity began to grow again. Families multiplied, generations rose, and people journeyed together across the lands. Eventually, they came to a wide plain in a land called Shinar, a region we now associate with ancient Mesopotamia, one of the cradles of civilization. The people were united, not just by blood or by cause, but by something more powerful: language. There was no misunderstanding. No need for translation. One voice, one tongue, one people. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." Instead of using stone and mortar, which were scarce in that land, they made sun-dried bricks and used tar for mortar. With this technology, they believed they could build something that would touch the heavens. It wasn't just about construction. It was about identity. They said, "Let us build a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth." This is where the heart of the story lies, not in bricks or towers, but in ambition. In pride. In the human desire to be remembered, to be powerful, to be equal with God. They were not simply building a tower, they were erecting a monument to themselves. The desire to make a name was not new. It's woven into the human soul, this longing to be known, to be great. But the danger arises when that longing removes God from the picture. God looked down from heaven, not because he couldn't see from afar, but to show divine attention to human action. The Creator, who had once flooded the earth because of its violence and sin, now saw humanity unified, but not in worship or righteousness. They were unified in pride. He said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan will be impossible for them." That's not a compliment. It's a warning. Unity without humility leads to destruction. Agreement without righteousness leads to rebellion. So God confused their language. Suddenly, the bricklayers couldn't understand the water carriers. The planners couldn't explain their designs. The shouting and frustration turned into arguments. Misunderstanding turned into abandonment. What was once a strong and focused effort crumbled into silence. The tower was left unfinished. The city, half-built. The people scattered. What they feared, being spread across the earth, became their reality, not because of nature or war, but because of divine intervention. And so the place was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. It was the birthplace of linguistic diversity, the end of one world order, and the beginning of many nations, each with their own voice. But let's pause. Why did God stop them? They weren't committing violence. They weren't waging war. They were building. Isn't that what we are supposed to do? Create, innovate, progress. Yes. But motive matters. They were building for their own glory, not God's. The danger wasn't in the building, it was in the heart. Pride disguised as progress. Unity turned into rebellion. God saw that their ambition would lead them to forget who gave them breath in the first place. This story echoes forward throughout the Bible. In Isaiah 14, we hear of Lucifer, who said in his heart, "I will ascend to the heavens, I will raise my throne above the stars of God." Just like Babel, it was about rising, reaching, being equal with God. And just like Babel, it ended in a fall. In the New Testament, we see a divine reversal of Babel. In Acts 2, on the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came down and filled the followers of Jesus. And what happened? They began to speak in many languages. But this time, it wasn't confusion, it was clarity. People from every nation understood the message of God in their own language. At Babel, God scattered people through confusion. At Pentecost, God gathered people through understanding. There's something powerful here. Language divides, but the Spirit unites. The Tower of Babel is a mirror. It shows us ourselves, our pride, our ambition, our need for recognition. It warns us that just because something is possible doesn't mean it is wise. Just because people are united doesn't mean they are right. Unity without God is dangerous. Today, we build our own towers. Not with bricks and tar, but with social media, status, reputation, and influence. We want to be known. We want to rise. But in doing so, how often do we leave God out? The question isn't whether we're building. It's who we're building for. We can learn from Babel, not just about the past, but about our present. If we build our lives, our careers, our ministries without God, they may rise for a time, but eventually, they will fall. God isn't against creativity or construction. He is the creator. He gave us minds and hands and dreams. But He wants to be at the center. Not as an obstacle, but as the foundation. In Proverbs 16 verse 18, it says, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." That was true in Babel. It is true today. So let the Tower of Babel remind us to build with humility. Speak with purpose. Unite with God at the center. Because without Him, even our greatest efforts will scatter like dust. If you enjoyed this video, kindly like, comment, share and subscribe. God bless you.